Henry IV Part 1. Believed to have been penned no later than 1597, Henry IV Part 1 stands as a history play in William Shakespeare's repertoire. It forms the second installment in a tetralogy dedicated to exploring the successive reigns of Richard II, Henry IV, comprising two plays, including Henry IV Part 2 and Henry V. The narrative of Henry IV Part 1 unfolds across a significant period in history, commencing with Hotspur's clash at Homilton Hill in Northumberland against Douglas, which took place in the latter part of 1402. The gripping tale concludes with the momentous defeat of the rebels at the Battle of Shrewsbury in the midst of 1403. Major characters of the play. Prince Harry, also known as Hal and sometimes called Harry Monmouth, is the son of King Henry IV and the heir to the throne, destined to become King Henry V. Despite spending much of his time in the company of highwaymen, robbers, and prostitutes, Harry harbors secret aspirations to transform himself into a noble prince. As the play progresses, his regal qualities begin to emerge, making him a central and complex figure. Shakespeare's portrayal of Harry is often ambiguous, leaving room for both deceitful and heroic interpretations. Hotspur, whose real name is Henry Percy, is the son and heir of the Earl of Northumberland and nephew of the Earl of Worcester. Fierce in battle and known for his impulsive actions, he has earned the nickname Hotspur. Belonging to the influential Percy family of the North, who helped King Henry IV rise to power, Hotspur now feels neglected and believes the king has forgotten his debt to them. He becomes Prince Harry's arch rival, driven by an obsession with honor and glory, often overshadowing other virtues. Sir John Falstaff is an older, rotund man, aged between 50 and 65, who frequents taverns in the less savory parts of London. He makes a living as a thief, highwayman, and beggar. Falstaff is Prince Harry's closest friend and acts as a mentor of sorts, acquainting him with the ways of criminals and vagabonds. Possessing a quick wit that matches Harry's, he engages in playful banter and wordplay with the young prince. Alright, now let's look at the summary of the play. Henry IV becomes king after the events of Richard II, but his past involvement in Richard's death haunts him. He plans to lead a crusade but faces turmoil, with rebels like Owen Glenvert capturing his cousin Edmund Mortimer. The Earl of Douglas and Harry Hotspur, a son of an old ally, also pose challenges. Henry is concerned about his son Hal's rowdy behavior in taverns as well. Meanwhile, Hal spends time at the Boar's Head Tavern with the witty but broke Falstaff. Falstaff plots a robbery, but Hal and his friend Poins trick him. Hal returns to court, feigning seriousness with Falstaff, but expressing loyalty to his wild friends. When Falstaff faces trouble, Hal protects and returns the stolen money. Civil wars intensify as Hotspur allies against King Henry. Hal makes peace with his father and commands the army against Hotspur. He discovers Falstaff took bribes to enlist unfit soldiers. King Henry offers Hotspur pardon, but his allies urge him to continue the fight. The Battle of Shrewsbury commences, with Falstaff anxious about the dangers of honor. Hal fights bravely, saving his father and defeating Hotspur. Falstaff falsely claims to have killed Hotspur. The king's side wins, and the rebellion is quelled. Henry IV splits his troops to handle the aftermath. The play explores power struggles and loyalty, with Hal evolving as the future King Henry V. The tale features humorous moments with Falstaff and Hal's wild adventures. Now let's look at the major themes in Henry IV Part 1. Order. The theme of order is a recurring motif in the play. When Hal, disguised, confronts Falstaff, the latter claims he instinctively recognized Hal's noble status and refrained from attacking someone higher in the hierarchy. Honor. Falstaff consistently disregards the principles of honor and the audience is almost inclined to sympathize with him, especially when he argues that only the dead possess honor. Father son relationships. The play delves into three father son pairs, both literal and figurative. The most significant relationship is between King Henry IV and Prince Hal, which begins the play with tension and complexities. Appearance versus reality. Throughout Henry IV, Part 1, the dichotomy between appearance and reality is evident. King Henry expresses his desire that Prince Hal and Hotspur were swapped at birth, wishing the fierce warrior Hotspur could be his son. This theme is further explored in the interactions between Prince Hal and Falstaff, where Hal behaves like a commoner despite his noble status. Henry IV Part 2. Henry IV Part 2 is a chronicle play in 5 acts by William Shakespeare, written in 1597 to 98 and was published in 1600. A better text of this play appeared in the first folio of 1623 and it's generally considered the more reliable version. Henry IV Part 2 is the third in a sequence of 4 history plays known collectively as the Second Tetralogy, treating significant events of English history in the late 14th and early 15th centuries. The historical facts of the play were taken primarily from Raphael Holinshed's chronicles, but Sir John Falstaff and the other comic secondary characters are original. In Henry IV Part 2, these Eastcheap figures dominate the action even more than in Part 1. Summary of the play. Henry IV Part 2 continues after the victory at Shrewsbury. The rebel lords plan to oppose Prince John's forces but learn of Hotspur's death, halting their rebellion. Falstaff returns to London, boasting about killing Hotspur but facing criticism for his past actions. Before joining the campaign, Falstaff gets arrested for debts at the tavern. He persuades Mistress quickly for more money. At the tavern, Hal and Poins overhear Falstaff speaking ill of Hal. An argument ensues and Falstaff is summoned for the war. On his way to join the army, Falstaff reunites with old friends in Gloucestershire. He selects weak soldiers from Justice Shallow's men and heads to the battle. Prince John considers the rebels' demands and peace is achieved. King Henry IV falls gravely ill. Hal arrives and they reconcile before the king passes away. Hal becomes King Henry V. Falstaff rushes to London with high hopes but is devastated when Henry denies knowing him and banishes him from court. Henry calls Parliament and preparations for the wars in France begin. Now let's look at the themes of the play. Henry IV Part 2 is all about lies and deception. Rumors are flying around and even a pipe gets personified as rumor. Envy and suspicion stir up trouble everywhere. Falstaff cannot stop spinning self-serving tales, while Lancaster's lies are a bit more complicated but end up saving England. Prince Hal's lies lead to a whole new identity as King Henry V, but sadly that means he has to ditch his buddy Falstaff. In this sea of falsehoods, the Chief Justice stands out as the one honest dude, and King Henry V appreciates that. The play suggests a future reign of honesty, but it also explores the consequences of being morally upright. It's a wild ride of lies, truths, and the price of being honest. Henry IV Part 2 is also like a health crisis soap opera. King Henry IV's sickness mirrors the kingdom's troubles. The Archbishop of York sees the nation as a sick body, and rebels are like a disease. Even other characters like Northumberland and Falstaff are dealing with their own physical and spiritual ailments. It's a whole web of sickness and chaos, getting us ready for King Henry V's big moment in the final play. Henry IV Part 2 is also about the fight for the crown. King Henry IV deals with rebel threats and his own self-doubt and guilt. Prince Hal's got a reputation as a party animal, but he shocks everyone by stepping up as a righteous ruler with strong morals. The deathbed scene adds some humor to the serious crown-passing stuff, showing the complicated and real father-son relationship. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Henry IV Part 2 is also all about time and how it affects everyone. King Henry IV and Falstaff are feeling the weight of their age, and it's taking a toll on their bodies and spirits. Falstaff's youthful days are a thing of the past, and Prince Hal, now King Henry V, distances himself from him, not liking his old buddy's behavior. The characters also talk about memory and how people's views of the past change over time. It's a real eye opener about how time shapes us all. Henry IV Part 2 is not a fan of war, that's for sure. The play shows how war can corrupt and bring dishonor. It doesn't have actual battles, but it focuses on the bad stuff that comes with war. Falstaff is up to some shady business, making money off the war effort by taking bribes and filling the army with unqualified soldiers. He even plans to get a military pension by pretending he got wounded in battle. Not cool, Falstaff. Even serious characters get caught up in dishonorable military stuff. Lancaster plays dirty to defeat the rebels, tricking them with fake peace offers before capturing them. And here's a kicker. King Henry IV's crusades to the Middle East are not exactly noble either. He admits they are meant to distract his subjects from rebellion, and his desire for the Holy Land is driven by a personal prophecy. Kinda selfish and childish, don't you think? War is no good, and this play shows it loud and clear.